Hey everybody, this is Scott Swinchock. Welcome to the Sink or Swin podcast. Over the course of the year, we're going to be bringing on quite a few of my friends who happen to be subject matter experts on various financial topics, and hopefully we're going to provide you with some relevant information over the course of this year. Thanks again, and welcome to the Sink or Swin podcast. Hey everyone, welcome to another Sink or Swin podcast. I have my friend and managing partner and founder of Cozza Law Group, Rocco Cozza, and I wanted to thank him for coming today, and maybe he can tell you a little bit about himself.
Yeah, well, thanks. First of all, thanks for having me. As you can tell, I'm a lawyer. Obviously, I've been practicing law. Gosh, 23 years now. 22 years. I know. I'm approaching 50, so it's definitely been a wild ride. So background, I grew up about an hour north here in Newcastle, PA, small, low middle class town. Went to college south of here, W&J, law school at Duquesne, and I worked in big law at a law school, which kind of made me realize what big law firms do wrong. And then I went in-house and I actually worked in South Point for a tech company for 14 years. I was their general counsel. Cool job, got to travel the world, literally got to see places I probably would never go on my own, like Israel, India, Eastern Europe. Awesome experience, but I had no passion for it. I knew I was this entrepreneur since I was a kid, so I really wanted to start my own firm. And then 2018, it was just, I turned 40 in 2017. My grandmother passed away. I turned 40 in August. My grandmother passed away, who was a huge influence on my life. She passed away in December. And then I walked in February and resigned and just said, that was kind of like the sign, like, okay, stop wasting time. Just do what you're supposed to do.
Take the jump.
I did. And I mean, I had very little plan. I just jumped, and it was scary for those first couple of years. And, I intended, when I left corporate America, I intended to be a solo practitioner and just build like a lifestyle firm. But then, actually incorporated the firm July 1st of 2019, like right before COVID. So then, that happened. And during that time, I saw firms playing defense. I played offense and just started growing the firm. And now, we have 10 employees and we're licensed in 6 states now. And our 10-year goal is 100 employees in 10 years. So it's been a wild ride. And we do everything from, transactional law, business law, estate planning, commercial litigation. I do a lot of sports entertainment law myself. So then I'm moving into this new venture of strategic advising. But that's really my background. Got 3 amazing kids. One of them actually works at the firm with me. He's running our finance department. So he went to college at Westminster, was deciding whether he was going to go to law school or not, started working with me for a year, came to me one day and said, you know what, I don't think I want to go to law school. I think I want to stay here and help you grow this. I'm like, yeah, buckle up, let's go. And that's where we are.
Well, I guess, when you take that jump and you go out on your own and there's no partners or no corporate America to tell you what you need to do, you get to execute on your own vision. So I'm sure that's been extremely fun, building what you want.
Yeah, it has been fun, but at first it was scary because there's no guardrails. It's just you, many sleepless nights. So it was, I was used to being in corporate America for 14 years. I knew what I made. I had a great salary, bonuses, benefits, and then you leave and every month you start at zero. And it's just like, oh, okay, I got to figure this out. And it was just, and there was a time where I was really stuck, I knew what I had to make to support, my lifestyle and my kids. And I was always coming in close to that. And then I worked with a business coach and just shifted my mindset. He really pushed me to say, hey, just stop focusing on the money. Focus on being the best lawyer, the best professional you can be. Once I just made that little shift, everything changed. Revenue, I think, tripled in 3 or 4 months. Just because I started thinking differently. It was nothing I did differently.
Mindset.
It was the mindset that I thought differently through everything. And it made me make different moves, make different decisions. And I think that was a huge part of what got us to where we are. Now we're kind of like, okay, what's going to get us there now?
What's next?
That's the big question mark. That's always the question mark.
Oh, I always tell people too, being an entrepreneur, you're not a real entrepreneur unless payroll keeps you up at night.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Every other Friday comes very quickly. And when you're responsible for all the revenue coming in and your team, and you got to make that payroll, because now you got, like you said, 10 people whose lives depend on you.
Yeah.
So you're not an entrepreneur unless.
No, it's funny you say it, because I just had this conversation last week with someone. We were talking about the difference between entrepreneurs and intrapreneurs, right? Like intrapreneurs, people that work in a business and kind of building out their own business, but they still have the guardrails of the support system in place. Like the true entrepreneur is, I mean, I jumped off a cliff, literally no plan. Like no one in my family was a lawyer. No one in my family was a business owner. It was just, well, I was like, okay, I'm just going to figure it out. And I trusted my instincts enough, and I trusted my ability to solve problems. So I just said, let me figure it out. But yeah, thinking about that part, the money, like it's all on you. Like I look at it, I take that responsibility very like with a huge weight on my shoulders, because it's not only my employees, but their families as well. So it's, they've got to be taken care of first. So it's, I believe in servant leadership, and it truly is, to call yourself an entrepreneur, you have to feel the weight of that. And if you haven't felt the weight of that, you don't really know what it's like yet.
I couldn't agree.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. I remember, growing up, and the nice thing is, you take what your father, and mother put on the table for granted as a kid, and you just kind of expect that. But, we have similar backgrounds, very blue collar. My dad was a steel worker, laid off a lot through the 80s. Yeah. And, he always, once I got older, he would have conversations with me, and it didn't mean anything until, I got a little more mature, where he's like, you know what, I'm going to use my hands and my back my whole life so that you can use your head and go out and do what you want to do. Yeah. And one of the best compliments he ever gave me is that, you're a risk taker, Scott. You'll jump in. I've always made the safe moves my entire life to make sure that you and your sister had what you needed. Yeah. But you don't even think twice. You don't look. You just jump in. Yeah, and you'll figure it out.
And that's a different wiring, I always say, because there are very. Like, I think I've realized it over the past year. I think, because I always thought like everybody's like me. Like everybody thinks like me. You just think you're, as an entrepreneur. Truly, we all think we're not special. We're just like everybody else. Like how do people not see this? Over this past year, probably even the past 6 months, I started to realize like how different we are. Like how different the wiring is, like how different we see the world. Like I'll look at a situation, spot something instantaneously that no one else is even looking at. And and I'm thinking like, how did you not see that issue? Or how did you not see that solution? And it truly is, we are wired differently. And that's why there are business owners and employees, I believe. And
I think that wiring makes for why success happens. We're here to help other people. Yeah. Right. Because again, we see, whether, the forest for the trees. Yeah. And when you have someone with a different mindset or a different build, I think we're there to be like a Sherpa or a guide.
Yeah.
Right?
That's exactly right. And I think part of my role has morphed from an operator to a mentor and a guide. Like, when I first started the firm and had a few employees, like I had to operate the firm, and I had to operate and do the legal work and really do all the tactical things. Now I'm pulling myself out of the tactical and moving into mentoring my team and helping them become their best versions. And then that's why I shifted into a lot of the strategic advising with some clients, because it's not just legal work. It's actually taking the owner of a business, helping them sort out all their problems, both leadership problems, operational problems, profitability problems. Then I always have my legal hat on because I'm a lawyer. I can't take that off, but it's a different, and it's a totally different way of operating, which I love. Like I have a passion for that. And it's getting to mentor the younger attorneys in my office is really cool, because I get to see them evolve and develop, and just watching, someone that was, at a certain level and just working with me on a weekly basis to now, exceed my expectations. Like, to me, that's fulfilling. That really is.
Yeah, over the years, like when I first started doing the estate planning and financial advising, I was always very good at numbers. Yeah. And, I prided myself on, oh my God, look at this portfolio, look at the standard deviation, look at the alpha, the beta. And people's eyes would just glaze over. Yeah. And I was just like, you know what, take a back seat. Let me just do what I do. But what I found over the years is what's more fulfilling is when I actually work with someone and they understand why it is that we're doing what we're doing. So when they're talking to a friend, they're not just like, I have a guy, he handles that. Right. They're able to intelligently talk about what they've put into place and why they did it. And I think that's the biggest compliment I can get,
Absolutely.
which helps tremendously with referrals of business.
Yeah. And I think, talking to estate planning, I think that's a very important aspect of the law that many people don't even think about. And, we do a lot of that. I do a lot of that myself. And to me, like, to your point, like you were a number. So you were doing, to me, I had to learn how to communicate to people because they're talking about their mortality. And so
tough conversation.
It is, but we reframed this. Let's talk about your legacy. How do we build your legacy? How do we make sure that what you're building now lasts for generations or passes on to your kids? So it changes the conversation and actually gets people excited. And it's my job is to simplify things. Like I could go through a provision of a will and a trust and explain which I'll happy to do, but most people just want to know, is this doing what I want it to do? And it's my job is to give people peace of mind that their legacy is intact and protected, and then to simplify the process. And that's why estate planning, it really lends itself to that, because they're hard conversations to have. Like no one's thinking about dying. Like, let's be real. Like, no, we think we're going to live forever, but it's not true. So you have to plan for it. And most people are too late to the party when they start planning. And that's a big problem I see as well. And you may see that in your practice as well.
Yeah. I tell people all the time that there's strength in numbers. It's like every household is a business.
Yeah.
They should treat it like a business, right? But you're the chairman of the board. I think, and I talk about it all the time, that you need a team around you, and a great attorney, a great accountant, and a great financial advisor are the three people that can tremendously assist. Because, one of the things that I tell people all the time is, here's a magic wand. Let's just take everything out of the picture.
Yeah.
Tell me what you want your life to look like. And one thing we can all agree upon is that not one of us is going to make it off this rock in one piece, right?
That's a great
so
point.
What do you want it to look like when you're gone?
Yeah.
And just let's have a conversation. And that's whether you're having dinner with your spouse or you're laying in bed watching TV, you should start jotting down the ideas of what you want that to look like.
Absolutely.
Because then together as a team with your accountant, with your attorney, and with myself, we can work together to make that happen. But like you said, I like to move into the role of accountability partner.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because if you're going to express your goals to me, then I'm going to hold you accountable to those goals.
Yeah.
And I think that, I hate the word financial advisor, and I say that all the time.
Yeah.
Wealth manager.
Right. No, I understand.
No, I like accountability partner, because we're just two humans having a conversation about what's next.
Yeah. That's why we call estate planning legacy planning, because it really is about changing the conversation. And to your point on the team, like if someone doesn't have an advisor or a CPA, it's hard for me to work with them. So we all need to be in sync. Like it's not, and anybody that's ever referred me business, I always say, you have to be involved in the process. Like this is not a set it and forget it, hand it to me, I'm going to run the ball. No, like we're on a team. Like we have to make sure what I'm putting in place isn't in line with what you're doing and what the CPA is looking at from a tax perspective. We all have to be working together. And I think when a client understands that and really sees that we're not doing it for fees, it's really in their best interest, then they get really excited about the process, because then they feel like they're protected from multiple angles, not just from the advisory perspective or from the tax perspective or the legal. It's like a three-legged stool that all works together. And I think that is a piece that I've seen that's been missing in the industry, because a lot of lawyers I've worked with over the years, and they just do it as a one-off. They want to do the will and move on. Like if someone calls me up and asks me to do a will, I won't do it. I said, we need to do a whole plan. Like I'm not going to do one doc. I need to look and make sure you have everything in place, because a will only accomplishes one thing. There's many other pieces to a legacy plan. And that's just kind of how we've started changing the discussion when it comes to the planning aspects.
Okay. So, a lot of people are intimidated by that.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
They have misconceptions in regard to what it's like working with a lawyer. Oh, it's going to cost me this. It's going to, they're going to ask me uncomfortable questions. Right. So from the perspective of, an average family that's going to come in, what does estate planning on your end look like? What are some of the considerations that you're going to ask?
Yeah, so we always start with the basics. So I always explain to people there's a basic estate plan, and if you're a married couple, it's 10 documents. Each person has 5. So it's your last will and testament. I always say that's where your stuff goes when you die. There's your durable power of attorney. Like, hey, if you're in the hospital, this person can access your bank accounts. Financial power of attorney. If you're in the hospital, this person can help talk to the doctor for you. Your living will, which is like, hey, I'm at the end of life. I don't want you, husband or wife, to have to make these decisions. I've made them for you. So it takes that out, it takes that weight off the family member. And the last one is just a HIPAA authorization. It gives somebody authorization to view your medical records. That's a basic plan that everybody needs. Then you can get into trusts and different things about like that. It depends on each person's situation. So a lot of my initial consultation with clients are just a discovery. Like, tell me about your situation. Married, kids, what assets do you have? I don't need to know the numbers. I always say, are you above? And I give them the estate tax
thresholds.
Are you above these thresholds? Okay, no. Okay, cool. Let's talk simple, because my job is to simplify it. And we've built a very efficient process, because we talk to a lot of clients and potential clients, and I've talked to other firms. And one thing I realized in the industry that was holding people back is the complexity of the process is what would slow people down. They just wouldn't do it. They'd get halfway done and they would never finish the document. So they have a half-baked estate plan. Then I tell people, if you don't finish it, you don't have anything in place, the state decides who gets your kids and where your money goes. And guess what? Your wife or husband doesn't get everything. They only get a portion. So if you die without a will, your spouse doesn't get everything. They get a portion. The rest goes to the kids. Like, you have to understand there's different rules in place. So we do everything. We charge a flat fee for basic estate plans. We have a 2-week turnaround time. Like, we send them a questionnaire. It's very simple. It's straightforward. I get a lot of the information up front. Our process is very efficient and simplified. So once we get that information back, we have a 2-week SLA on our end to turn it around to them. Follow-up discussions. Our goal is to get those documents signed within a month.
I mean, that's fair. That's fast.
Yeah, that's what we...
In regard to...
Yes.
When you're talking about decisions that are that serious to impact someone's life.
And a lot of the times I'll have those discussions up front. Like, hey, here's the things you need to think about. If you have young kids, who do you want to be the guardian and who do you want to be the trustee? And they should be different people. You don't want the person controlling the money to also be responsible for the kids. You want to have some checks and balances like the government. So that's the stuff I talk about. Who's going to be your power of attorney? Typically it's going to be each spouse. If it's a married couple, who do you want to be the backup? Same thing with executors. So there's a lot of stuff I talk about up front to get them thinking. And then sometimes we have to have a couple follow-up calls. And our fee is our fee. If it takes me 3 hours or 20 hours to do it, doesn't change the price. That's kind of how we operate. Then if they have more complexity, or if they're older, they're worried about Medicare or the look or Medicaid look back. Then we talk about trust and different types of trust. There's a whole other separate discussion, but that's the simplest way, is just that simple basic estate plan.
Yeah. What I've seen, like in the 20 years of, again, doing what I do, a lot of things that tear families up are the death of a loved one.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And then the tug of war happens. Financially, I'm entitled to this. You're entitled to this. So to have your parents or loved ones, put something down on paper where, it's an official document. Yeah. And one of the, another thing too, is the wishes for, medical services later in life.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've seen brothers and sisters, siblings just go at one another saying, well, mom would have wanted this. Dad would have wanted this. Yeah. I think it's paramount and extremely important to have your wishes expressed on paper.
Absolutely right.
So that there's nothing that anyone can argue about.
100%. And that's what I tell people. It's like, do you want to leave your kids to fight a battle? If you don't, and that's why it's why I say it's legacy planning. It's like if you pass without making these decisions, your legacy is going to be, my parents left me with a mess. And do you want to be remembered for that? And a lot of times the people come in to do the planning after they witnessed a friend of theirs go through that mess. That spurs them, because you'd be surprised at how people come in, they're in their 50s, say, I feel like, I'm late to the ball. It's like, that's the majority of people. No one's doing it when they should do it, in my opinion. Like when you're young, when you have a new family, new assets, or newly married, you should be doing it then. Most people don't think about it until something significant happens to someone they know and they saw the mess they went through. That spurs the conversation, and at least it gets them at that point in time. So I look at it from that perspective. Is that there's so much to it, but the earlier you do it, the better. The other thing I tell people too, which people don't get, is if you have kids going off to college, if you're a parent, like, you should have power of attorney over your kids, because if something happens, just because you're their parent doesn't mean you're going to get access to their bank
because they're
accounts.
mature. They're 18 years old.
Exactly. So we just did a couple this week for clients of mine that have kids that are going off to college. They're 18. We did powers of attorney, gave their parents medical and financial power of attorney. Like that stuff, people aren't even really thinking about, but they should. And it's a couple simple documents. It's a few $100s to put together, very little time, come in, sign it, get it notarized. You don't got to worry about it. You just put it in
a few $100 for peace of mind.
Exactly. That's all it is.
Your kid's going away from home for the first time in their life, and you still got to be able to handle business because nonetheless, they're an 18-year-old kid.
Exactly right. And God forbid if something would happen, you want to be able to talk to the doctors and make decisions for them on their behalf. And if you don't have that in place, they don't have to let you do that. And that's the part that people don't even think about.
Yeah, I think a big thing of what you were talking about before in regard to getting it done, it's never too early. A lot of people don't realize that this isn't written in stone. Right?
Yes.
You can change it over the course of your entire lifetime.
Absolutely right.
And it's a lot easier to amend things than it is to start from scratch because, if you're 20, what do you really have? You don't have much assets in your life.
Correct.
But as you grow these assets into your 30s, into your 40s, into your 50s, if you have something in place, it's easy just to add.
Absolutely right. And that's why with our firm, we started what's called our legacy maintenance plan. So it's because we kept realizing people weren't updating when things happen. So we said, hey, we're going to put this plan in place. It's $99 a year. It's not even about the money. It's just when their card gets charged every year, they're going to think about their estate plan. Do it because if they're on this plan, any documents we do for them, we revise free of charge. So if you sign up for an estate plan and you pay this $99 a year, as long as you kept paying it and your life falls apart, in 3 years you need to change everything. We will make all the changes, draft new documents, no charge if they're on that plan. But the point of the plan is to get people to think about it on a consistent basis.
Well, that's in regard to estate planning too.
Yeah.
I like the outreach from my client relationship specialist just saying, hey, I wanted to say hi today. Has anything in your life changed?
Exactly.
Because when we're doing what we do, you change a job. That probably means that you have an old 401k or something that needs moved. Maybe you're going through a divorce. Maybe one of your parents passed away. As life events happen, your estate plan changes.
Absolutely. And that's something that people, we've always followed up like every year or two. Now putting this plan in place has kind of made it systematized.
I think it's a brilliant idea.
And for us, it's truly not even $1. It's like the Netflix model. It's $99 a year, but it gets people, and we charge the card. So we have a card on file. So when they see this charge, they're going to at least stop and think. And we email them when the charge goes out. So now we know at least once a year, their estate plan is in their mind, top of mind, thinking, do I need to update it at all? Did something change this year?
Kind of reminds me of like my McAfee virus scan
on
my computer. Yes. I take for granted that I have that thing on the computer, but when I see that $99 charge at the end of the year, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to clean my computer out. And I find all this stuff.
Yes.
So I think it's brilliant.
Thank you. Yes, definitely. Clients love it. And, we've pretty much all our clients have signed up for us. We started offering, and it's a great peace of mind for us knowing that they'll be proactive in the planning process moving forward.
I'm going to circle back to something you said a little while ago. And we talk about people like a catalyst event or something that's going to make people think about estate planning. Yeah. But you touched on the look back period. Yeah. And that's one thing that most people aren't really sure of and how it works. Yeah. So if a loved one, whether it be a spouse, a parent, needs assisted living or nursing care, how is that going to impact their assets? And how far can the government look back to recoup some of those for the care?
Yeah. So I won't get into like the grave, boring details, but there's a 5-year look back period. So basically if you're going into assisted living and it's, state sponsored and, they could look back 5 years, assets that were transferred in that 5-year period, they can claw back and get. So I always tell people, because I have a lot of people call the office like, hey, I think my dad or my mother's going into assisted living and next year I need to protect their assets. Well, you called 4 years too late. There are certain things you can do, but those are really complex discussions. It's probably too complex for this. But just, I tell people, think about it this way. Those should be things you're thinking about way before you have any health issues. Because once you have health issues, you don't know how quick that can happen. And you want to make sure you get past that 5-year look back period. And that's the big thing. It's really that 5 years from the time you go, and they can look back and say, did you transfer assets? Did you gift money to people? Did you, add people's names to titles on houses and things like that, which is a whole separate discussion. When people say, should I add my kid's name to a house? That's a huge mistake in most instances. So there's a whole other discussion on that. But that's for that perspective, like when it's the state sponsored and they can recoup the funds they paid on your behalf, there's a 5-year window you got to get past.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important too that they should know their family history.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean, if Alzheimer's, dementia runs in your
Yes.
family, stroke, anything like that, it could incur an event that's going to put you into a facility.
Yeah, and they can be very expensive. And again, you probably do long-term care insurance. There's a lot of financial products that can help offset that, or even plan for that. But a lot of people don't plan for that because you don't think everything's going to be healthy forever. And then when something happens, you're kind of like, oh crap, like what do I do now?
Yeah, I try to equate. I do everything like through storytelling and try to relate it to people. And I tell them it's like buying a car. Okay, you've had this car for 5 years. You've had the warranty, right? So that's what you're doing, getting people ready for a nursing care facility, right?
Yep.
But here's the caveat. If you didn't do that, you don't have the ability to buy another car.
Right.
It's just over. And now you're at the mercy of the garage telling you all the repairs that you need to make on this car for the rest of your life.
Yeah, that's a great analogy.
And that's literally going to be a really expensive endeavor to the point where your inheritance can dwindle.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I've had clients that have called and said they don't care. They're like, I want to spend all my money before I leave. I'm like, well, okay, I feel like there's a better way to do this. But when it comes to that type of stuff, it's really, you should be planning for it well in advance. I say start thinking. If you're a healthy individual, you should be thinking about that in your mid to late 40s. Like, are there any type of long-term care planning things I should put in place? Either it's long-term care insurance, putting an irrevocable trust together. There's a lot of different things you can do, but that's something earlier is better than later, because when it's later, it's too late.
Well, the crazy, I tell a horror story. So I had a family member who extremely successful with investing in their life.
Yeah.
So they obviously knew what I do for a living.
Yeah.
And it's more than just the wealth advising. It is estate planning. But that family member thought that they knew better. He's like, I have my trust set up. It's all good. Well, it was a revocable trust.
Yeah.
Tied to his Social Security number.
Yep.
Well, it came time that he was blessed with longevity, but he also had a special needs child. All right.
Yeah.
So it got to the point where him and my aunt couldn't take care of themselves, and they had to check into a facility. But he got used to living a certain kind of lifestyle.
Yeah.
So he wanted the best room in the facility.
Okay.
$14,000 a month. He had roughly, I think, starting with maybe about $4 million, with $14,000 a month. I think they made it about 13 years in the facility. He passed away, but his wife, lived for a little while longer. But then they also, when they moved into the facility, they had to take their special needs son into it. So it was another $8,000. Well, over the course of time, I mean, even with good markets, you couldn't keep up with that withdrawal rate.
No, not at all.
So my cousin's inheritance went from $4 million down to about $500,000. So the state, and the facility took over $3.5 million from that family.
Yeah, that's just a planning error.
Yes.
Because again, it's wrong type of trust, first of all, right? Revocable trust. The whole point is to protect your assets from the state. It has to be irrevocable, right? You have to relinquish control of the assets, meaning you cannot be the trustee. And that's a big thing that people have a hard time with.
They don't want to lose control.
They don't want to lose control. And I said, well, there's certain, you can put provision in it. You still can access the money for the things you need. It's just, you can't control them. It has to be a third party trustee put in place. And again, that's a hard discussion to have with people as well. But again, most people misunderstand trusts. They think, trust save me in taxes. Well, irrevocable can in certain instances on the inheritance tax, but not on capital. There's a whole tax calculation you have to do when it comes to capital gains tax versus inheritance tax. But a revocable trust, it's just like it doesn't really save you any money on taxes. It just avoids probate. That's really all it does. So it can save you money on the probate process. But there's so many misconceptions out there online. I can't tell you how many times, at least once or twice a week, I'll have a new client call and say, hey, I need to start up a trust, a holding company, and an LLC. I said, for what? I'm going to start a business. I said, well, why do you need all three? Like, well, I said, I always say, stop. Which video did you watch on TikTok or YouTube? Yeah. Because that's usually what it is. It's like they saw some influencer say, you got to have a trust, and the trust has to own your holding company, and the holding company owns your LLCs. I'm like, you don't have anything yet. You didn't start a business yet. How about we start a business and start an LLC, and then we can work on layering things on top. But that's the problem with the internet. There's a lot of good information out there. There's also a lot of bad information, and the bad information tends to go viral more so than the good information.
I get that call, like you said, weekly too.
Right.
I want to trust.
Right.
Okay, well, let's elaborate on that a little bit more. Tell me more. What are we going to put in that?
Right.
Why do you want it?
Right.
I mean, it literally happens all the time.
Yeah.
But, I'm happy when stuff like that happens. I say, you know what, you need, I'm dangerous enough to talk about it, but we need, the right firm or the attorney to be able to implement that for you. Yeah.
And a lot of times too, I'm very candid with people. I'll say, you're wasting your money on a trust, because they may have like a 401k and a house. Like, we're not going to put the 401k in a trust because it creates tax issues. The house, you don't really need to. It doesn't really, if you have a joint ownership with your spouse, it's just going to pass to them via operation of law at the time you pass. So, and I say, don't spend the money on it. Like, just get a basic plan in place. And people appreciate that I'm not trying to, because I know other people out there, across the country that I've dealt with it. They're trust factories. They'll just put people in trust. I'm like, why do you have a trust? You have a checking account in an IRA. That's it. Like, you don't need a trust. It makes no sense to me.
Well, it's like you said, it's the internet. It's TikTok. It's Instagram. It's everywhere. There's just videos.
Yes,
everywhere. Or someone sees a meme and they're like, oh, I need that. I know. Do you really need that? No.
Yes. I used that when I was in corporate America. I had a cup. This was before the internet went like this. I had a cup that said, please do not confuse your Google search with my law degree. Yeah. And because there were people who would come in my office and ask me questions. Like, I was looking on the internet. I said, well, I'd hold my cup up. I say, go back out there and start that conversation again. Yeah. Because it was just there, because there's so much information, and people are trying to do things, but they don't even know the right questions to ask. Now you add AI into the mix, and it's like, okay, well, that may be the answer to a question, but you asked the wrong question. And we get that a lot too.
Everybody's trying to pound square pegs in round holes.
Yeah.
Not knowing. I mean, I guess it's scenario specific.
Yeah.
What is your specific scenario? Correct. And what's going to best be able to implement or execute on what's important to you and your goals?
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly right. There's a lot of people out there now that, and I always say, like, they're kind of using the internet or AI. I said, don't be penny wise and pound foolish. Like, if you're gonna use that to try and build out an estate plan or set up your business, you're probably not ready to start a business. Like, you need to make an investment in the right things. I'm not saying pay me to do all your stuff, but there are certain fundamental aspects of a business or an estate plan that you should have a professional do, and people just need to understand that.
I don't think there's any substitute to dialogue with a human.
Right. No, right? You're 100%
Being
correct.
able to look someone in the eye, break bread with them.
Yes, absolutely.
Talk about what's important to you and come up with solutions. It's collaboration.
That's exactly right. That's how it should be. And that's why, like, people always say, are you worried about AI? I'm like, no. I said, because I know to ask the right questions.
It's like asking the right prompts with AI. See, I saw a podcast a little while ago, and they were talking about artificial intelligence and it coming out, and it's gonna replace and take a bunch of jobs. Yeah. And then the crux of the entire podcast was AI isn't going to replace you, but the person that knows how to use AI will most certainly replace you.
Right. That's exactly right.
But it goes back. What's most important? The person.
Exactly. That's 100% correct. And I tell the people in my firm, the lawyers, I say, look. Yeah, people could probably go get the answer to the question. I said, we just got to ask the right questions. That's what makes us different. Like, I don't care. You can go find, you can go online and ask ChatGPT, how do I do this? Like, great, but that's not even the right question to ask. And that's what I think the human interaction, if you're really good at what you do, AI will just enhance it. If you're bad at what you do, you can be replaced by it. That's what I say. If you're a good marketing firm, and you use AI, you will be way more efficient and make a lot more money. If you're a bad marketing firm, people will just use AI to replace you. Same thing with any profession.
I think the individual is Batman, AI is Robin.
Yeah. Yes, that's exactly right. Yeah, 100. That's
the
a great
individual
analogy.
is Maverick and AI is Goose.
Yeah, that's a great. Yeah,
it's literally.
I don't think Goose is gonna. I don't think AI is gonna jump on a plane and crash though. So, but you never know.
Yeah,
but you're right. That's a great analogy because it's all about the operator. It really is, and I've been down the rabbit hole with AI. Like I love it. Like we use it. I implement it to make. I was just telling someone yesterday that I calculated it, and just certain things administratively that I've automated with AI, it saves me 10 hours a week.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Like I put together in a venture where typically putting together like a pro forma, 1, 3, 5 year market analysis and all that stuff to get to the small business to be able to get a SBA loan. Yeah. Typically that would take me about 2 or 3 weeks gathering all the data and whatnot. I was able to 20 minutes with the correct prompts. Yeah. Loading in the plan disclosure document or the franchise disclosure document and asking it the right stuff to literally generate a business plan that was acceptable by the SBA in 30 minutes. I was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, that's what it does. It is amazing. And and there are so many tools now. Like we use the note takers and we have Zoom calls, which some of them are like, and I had a call with a client. They're a large corporation. One of the guys, he was jumping between Zoom meetings. He was like, I don't even know what I talked about on the first meeting. I said, did you never hear when I gave one of the AI note takers? He's like, no, he's never heard of that. And he looked up, he's like, oh my God, this is like would transform his day. Because he said he had 10 meetings back to back. He's like, I don't remember what I talked about in the first 3. I don't remember what I'm supposed to do. He's like, I can't take notes fast enough. I said, and I gave him the one, it transcribed it. It gives you notes. It gives you action items, like a mind map, all doing nothing, but it's just listening to the conversation, and it's 99.9% accurate. Like that's what I love about AI, because normally prior to that, I would take notes, then I would write a summary, email everyone on the call and say, hey, here's what we discussed. Here's the action items. Here's the due dates. This just sends it to people automatically.
It gives you your time back.
Yes, it does. It really does.
And that's the most valuable aspect
100%. And that's why it's here to stay. I've embraced it. I love it. I'm going to keep finding more ways to use it. So
and what I found too is like going through and being able to, ask the right questions, put the right prompts in. It's going to give you the action items and maybe a plan. But again, it comes back to the human. You have to execute.
Exactly. Yes. You have to do the work.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. And most people don't understand that. And that's the mindset of an entrepreneur. Coming back to, full circle to what we talked about earlier. Entrepreneurs are different because we execute. Like anybody can have an idea. Anybody can go online and find business ideas and put a plan in place and overanalyze and put their marketing content calendar together and do all this stuff. But entrepreneurs just execute. Like we ready, fire, aim. Like that's kind of how we're wired. It's plan a little bit, execute, make adjustments. It doesn't have to be perfect to go to market. It just has to be good. I'll make it perfect once it's to the market, and I make adjustments based on what the market's telling me. That's just a different mindset, I think, from entrepreneurs to everybody else.
All right, Rocco, we talked a little bit before, at the beginning about families and what they need to do. And I guess the crux of the entire situation is just make the phone call.
Yeah.
Get a plan started.
Absolutely right. Yes.
Another, audience or, market that I do a lot of business with is business owners, entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
So that being said, we talked about a little bit, people have an idea, they want to start a business, they need to do this, they need to do that. So they have their idea, they want to set up a business. What's the proper way to structure it? Or how do you determine, what path they go, whether it's an LLC, S Corp, C Corp?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I will tell you this, probably 95% of like small businesses that are starting should go with an LLC because an LLC in and of itself gives you a lot of flexibility. If you're a single member, like the one person owner, an LLC by default, you're just taxed as a sole proprietorship. So it's you just tax on your Schedule C. You can, the benefit of an LLC from a tax perspective is you can make what's called an S corporation election. So you can elect to be taxed differently. That's the whole, so the LLC in itself gives you liability protection. That's having the corporate structure, but it also gives you the tax benefit by like people say I need to form an S corp. It's like, well, you can do an LLC, which is cheaper, less red tape, and just make an election because you're only doing an S corp for the tax benefit. And I'll give you a scenario. So say you're a single member LLC and you make $100,000 this year in profit. by default, being taxed as a sole proprietor, you pay ordinary income tax and self-employment tax on the full 100 grand. So self-employment tax, 15.3%. So 15 grand in self-employment tax. If you tell the IRS you want to be taxed differently as an S corp, the rule is you have to pay yourself a reasonable salary. There's really no way to tell what that is. They say like what it would cost to replace you. So in that same scenario, just say you're going to pay 50% as a salary, 50% as a profit distribution. So that salary is now ordinary income tax. You pay your FICA, FUTA, Medicare. But then that additional 50,000 is left. You only pay ordinary income tax. You don't pay self-employment tax. So you save that 15.3% on half of your income. So right there, you're going to save about $7,600 in taxes, which is a huge tax saving. So that's why an LLC gives you flexibility because you don't have to be taxed as a corporation yet. You can make that election down the road once you're making a certain. Most CPAs that I've worked with say, once you're making a net profit of about $40,000 a year, it makes sense to make the election because the cost of accounting and the administrative hassle goes up because now you have to do payroll, you have to file payroll reports, but it's offset by the tax savings.
Is there a time frame to which you have to make that election?
So they say you have to do it within 75 days at the beginning of the tax year. However, there are a lot of revenue rulings out there where you can do it retroactively. So a lot of clients will maybe start one and get past that 75-day window, and they can send a letter to the IRS and get them to approve the election. Most CPAs know how to do that. So, but the general rule is, if I form it today, I have 75 days from today. If it's, if it's next tax year, I have till March 15th to make the election. It's just a form you file with the IRS.
Okay. What about if, say, for instance, you've been doing your taxes, it's just an LLC for, let's just call it 3, 4, 5 years.
Sure.
In year 6, are you able to make that election?
Yeah, you can make it anytime down the road. Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Okay.
That's the benefit of it, right? Because you don't have to make it out of the gate. You can elect it in a later tax year. That's why I think an LLC for most small businesses makes the most sense. Because a corporation, right? You're only going to form either an LLC or a corporation because there's no such thing as an S corporation. That's just a tax election. So the two entities will either be an LLC, limited liability company, or a corporation. If you don't make the S corp election here, you're now taxed as a C corp. You're paying double tax. That's why the LLC gives you flexibility because you can be taxed as a sole proprietorship. If there's 2 or more owners, your default tax is a partnership, which is just a pass-through entity, but you can make that S corp election down the road that gives you that tax savings.
Is it ever prudent to have the C corp?
In certain instances, yeah. So it gets into really the types of benefits you're going to offer. There's different types of deductions you can do. A lot of times you'll see larger companies when they want to go to a C corp, they're going to get venture capital funding or angel funding. A lot of tech companies do that, and it really depends on how many owners you're going to have. If you're going to bring on advisors, because with an LLC, right, it's a pass-through entity, so all 100% have to be allocated. With a C corporation, I can authorize 1 million shares, but only issue 100,000. So now I have this whole pool of 900,000 shares sitting over here that I can give out to advisors or other people that come on board. So it gives you more flexibility from an ownership and like an equity standpoint. But, I would tell you that 90 to 95% of new businesses that are start as an LLC.
Okay. So as a new business, you're starting up now. So as a law firm or some muscle behind this entrepreneur, this business owner, what are some of the ongoing services that you guys can provide?
So, we soup to nuts, really. It's everything from advising them when they're hiring their first employee, bringing on an independent contractor, putting all their contracts together for their customers or the services they provide. We protect their IP. We do trademark filings. We handle their litigation. Literally, we act as the outside general counsel to these businesses. What I try and do is tell all of my clients, pick up the phone and call me before you make a decision. It's going to be a lot cheaper to do that than to pay me to unwind something stupid you did. So that's really, we try and be very proactive with our clients, but literally anything a business or business owner would need, we can handle.
So you have the ability to grow with said business.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's what we want to do. Like my goal has always been, I started as a small business. Like I love working with a business, watching them take that idea out of their head and turn it into something fruitful that then ends up growing and potentially exiting down the road. Like it's just a cool process to be involved in. And I'm not transactional in any nature. It is really about the relationships. It really is. I want this to be a long-term relationship. I say, hey, and that's why some clients I won't take, because if it doesn't feel right or we don't gel. Like we're marrying each other. We're not just, we're not just dating and then going to break up. I want this to be a marriage. I'm going to work with you long term. So we've got to like each other. We've got to respect each other. We've got to trust each other. And that's a delicate balance you have to find.
I think it's a testament to what you've built over there, where you literally just aren't going to be like a puppy mill saying, hey, we're going to take everybody.
Yeah,
right.
No,
you actually get to work with who you want to. You don't have to work with anyone.
Exactly. And we've been fortunate, and I think it allows us to provide a higher level of service. Like we're a very high touch business. Like I want every one of our clients to feel like they are the most important client, because
like
they
family.
Are. They really, yes, absolutely. And we make sure like every client has my personal cell phone. Like I don't have a gatekeeper. I'm I probably should at some point in time, because it's just my schedule gets crazy, but anybody can access me. There's no hoops they have to jump through. If someone's talking to me, they'll talk to me. And I make sure that like I'm never going to be that person that says no.
That's exactly what I did too. I wanted to have my cell phone on there. I mean, if someone's going to trust you with one of the four most important things in their life, and I go back, it's your faith, your health, your family, and money.
Yep, exactly.
Four things, right?
Absolutely.
So they're going to trust me with money, and they got a problem, something's keeping them up at night or whatever. They should have the right to be able to reach out to me, whether it's via text or a call.
Absolutely.
But my cell phone is the predominant number. That is on my business card.
Yeah. I mean, I still get even clients I haven't worked with in years will still text me on my cell like, hey, you got a second to chat? And I'll be like, yeah, give me a call. It's just the way I like to operate. I want people to feel like they matter, because they should. And when I worked in big law, and then I hired big law firms when I was in-house, like I saw how it worked, and I didn't like it. Like I didn't want to just be a number or a billable hour to someone. I want people to really feel like I take a lot of time to understand a person's business, and I want to understand. And sometimes I'll ask the hard questions that most lawyers won't. It's what's really going on. Because sometimes a client will come to me with an issue. I'm like, that's not really what's going on. There's something else.
You gotta peel the onion.
Yeah, you have to. And then you get to it. And then they feel a deeper level of trust, because I took the time to actually care about what's going on. Something could be a personal issue that's informing their decisions, that I know they're making a bad decision, but I need to know why they're making this decision. And sometimes when you peel back the onion, it's because there's something going on in their life that's clouding their vision. It's my job then to move the fog and help them see things clearly, to prevent them from making that dumb decision.
Exactly. I mean, there's nothing wrong with saying, tell me more.
Right. Yeah.
Because you got to get down to the underlying cause of what's,
absolutely right. And people, it can get uncomfortable sometimes, but it's my job. My job is to make sure they're protected.
Well, that's where growth happens.
Exactly.
You got to make someone uncomfortable to grow. Right.
Exactly right. 100%.
So now you're working with a business owner. You're ongoing. I mean, the next evolution of a business is, okay, am I going to pass this on to my children? Is this going to be a family business? Or do I ride off into the sunset like Butch and Sundance and sell this, right?
Yes.
So you're able to, consult or help people making that decision, because, again, I know as a business owner, it's like an extension of my family. It's like something I built.
Yeah.
I've become attached to it.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. We work with clients all the time. The first thing I tell them, don't assume your kids are going to take it. Because that is the biggest fallacy there is right now. I can't tell you how many. I mean, we're in the age which they're calling the silver tsunami. A lot of baby boomers that now have these businesses that they just assume their kids are going to take over. And I will tell you, in my experience, 75% of the kids don't want anything to do with the business. There's 25% sure they'll take it over. 75% don't. So you got to start planning for exit, and you got to start planning 5 to 7 years prior to the time you want to exit to get the most value.
Wow,
yeah. Just because you want to get the most value, you can do it sooner, but if you're going to get the most value for your business, you want to make sure your systems are in place. You have the right SOPs. It's truly a transferable business, meaning you can pick it up, give it to someone, and there's a playbook that they know exactly how to run the business with no questions asked. And that takes time to do, because most business owners, myself included, we have a lot of stuff in our head that we think everybody understands.
Yeah,
or
the
knows
assumption.
How to do.
Yeah, we assume they know what we're thinking.
Right. I'm like, how did you not know that I wanted you to do that? Like, because you didn't tell me. And that's, I ran into that in my own firm, just assuming that people can read my mind. And then I realized that they can't. So it is a process you have to go through, because there's a lot of different ways to structure it. There's certain tax advantageous ways to do it. If you plan for it, 5 to 7 years in advance. But it's something that I always tell people when they're starting a business, once you're in it for a few years, you got to start thinking about what's the next thing. Don't say I want to sell my business in a year, because we're going to get not as much as we could for it.
I guess, that makes perfect sense, because you've worked your whole life to build something, and you want to make sure that it perpetuates, right? You just don't want to, obviously if you sell your business, you have employees that you've grown to know. They've become family. And for me, if I would ever exit, I'd want to know that everybody that helped me pull the rope to get where I am today are taken care of.
Exactly. That's exactly right. And a lot of business owners do face that struggle, because it's hard, because it's if I'm buying a business, I want to keep the employees on, but I don't know that I can. I don't know them as well as you do. So if you're selling me your business, you have a very high expectation of me taking care of the employees the way you did. I want to as well for continuity purposes, but there may be a reason why I can't. And the buyer and seller have to come to terms with that. Like, it can't be exactly how it was, because if it was, you wouldn't be selling. When you sell, things have to change somewhat. And that's what people just need to understand. And sometimes that's a hard conversation to have with people, because they don't really want to hear that or believe it.
Yeah, I want to, it's an ongoing process, with the estate plan. I want to talk to people. I want to know when they want to go, because again, it comes back to that collaboration, the team, right?
Exactly.
I want to know what you're thinking. I want to know what the tax attorney's thinking, right? The CPA, all the people, because when you're selling, you're making a decision, right? Do I sell this as an asset-based sale? Do I make am I a stock purchase,
Exactly.
stock transfer sale?
Yes.
There's a lot of things that get involved. In this decision, with huge tax implications after the fact, because your business is going to have a cost basis to it. What did you invest into it? Is there going to be depreciation recapture?
And you can do the what is it, the 338H election, where it's an asset deal but it's treated as a stock deal, and there's the I can't remember the code number, but basically if you have a business, if you're a C Corp, you own it for 5 years, you can defer capital gains. There's a lot of different tax strategy. That's why it's got to be a team effort, and it's got to be thought of well in advance of exit.
And we're talking about that here, and I'm sure there's business owners out there with their eyes just glazing over, like, oh my God, I thought,
it's a lot bigger of a discussion than just I'm going to sell my business in a couple of years. Like, you have to put a lot of things in place.
Exactly. And I think, again, it goes back, you got to get the right team around you. Like, in regard to, I'll be able to advise and consult. Obviously, there's no fee for what I do as an estate planner, where I guess they're like, well, what's in it for you? Well, what's in it for me is the more that you sell a business for, the more assets that I can manage, the more assets that I can transfer to the next generation of your family. That's what's in it for me, and again, you have to have your people, your team. There's going to be billable hours, but if that can put 20, 30, 40% more in your pocket because it's structured right.
And we've done a few deals too recently when we're on the sell side. We've done a success fee structure. So instead of doing hourly, if we can figure out a way to do it, we'll charge a flat fee up front, like a retainer, and then the balance of the retainer at the time of closing. And then if it closes, there's a success fee. So meaning we don't get the bulk of our fees unless the deal closes. So we're putting skin in the game.
Without a doubt, your time is valuable.
Exactly.
And these things can take a long time to transpire.
A long time. And the fees can get, we're a firm we keep our costs reasonable. I keep my overhead pretty low, but there still can, just the sheer amount of time involved, it can run up the clock. That's why we started doing this model. Like, okay, well, if say on a $50 million transaction, the fees are going to be $100,000. We may say, okay, we take $15,000 up front, $15,000, at the end of the year, and then we only get the 70 if the deal closes, and it's only paid at closing. So they're not getting bills every month for hours. So as much as it takes us to do, that's on us. But we only get that we're taking the risk on the deal closing, getting it to close.
That's extremely reasonable too, because again, from my experience, a lot of deals fall through during the due diligence phase.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right. So you're going into the due diligence phase, and you're on retainer for the business owner that's selling. Yeah. Well, now there's a whole legal team on the other side that's picking through all the data.
Oh yeah.
Right. And then you guys are going back and forth, and that can get.
It can get ugly.
It can get time consuming.
It really does. I'm in the middle of one right now, and it was supposed to close in April, and we're in July, and I don't even know if it's going to close this month. just because the other side, it's an international transaction, so there's multiple parties involved, but the due diligence is just taking forever because it's just one thing after another. And I think there's consultants on the other side that are also trying to run up the bill a little bit. So they're asking for the same things over and over again. That's the problem. You have deals like this. You need efficiency in deals. And that's where I see most of them get hung up, is there's inefficient processes in place when it comes to the due diligence or the valuations or how they're structuring the deal. There's too many cooks in the kitchen, and there's not one person leading the charge. And that's one of the issues I'm facing right now.
Well, it makes sense. Like, I mean, when it comes to this and, business owners, if you can take away one thing from what we're talking about today, is that the right kind of financial, the right kind of legal partner, the right kind of tax partner, they can take you from small business to medium-sized business to a large business to an exit.
Absolutely right.
And I think that you want people that are going to know you inside and out, become family, become friends, because then they're going to look after you and make sure that maybe it's one bite of the apple. Maybe you want another clawback, but everything can be structured properly because they understand your situation.
No, that's exactly right. I mean, I couldn't have said it better myself. And that's what people need. With the right team, you can take a small business and turn it into a multi-million-dollar exits over a 10-year period. If you have the right team in place, you really can. I've watched it happen. I've been a part of it. And so it's absolutely possible.
So I guess, the moral of the story is, if you're a small business, medium-sized business, large business, whatever it may be, you're going to need to reach out and have a partner like Rocco, like Cozza Law Group, like SWIN, the Succession Wealth and Insurance Network. But again, kudos to you for building an extremely successful business. Let's help you monetize that.
Absolutely right. Yeah.
Right? And be more efficient.
100%. Yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate everybody listening to us today, talking about, families and law, businesses and law. But, I wanted to spend some time, because we started with a little background on Rocco, but I wanted to talk a little bit about, his new passion. What's next for him? Because we've been talking about what's next for families, what's next for businesses, what's next for you? What are you passionate about right now?
Well, so it's interesting. So I've been being pulled in a certain direction in my career. So over the past probably 2 years, I've been, I do legal work for clients, but a lot of them have, I don't want to say looked at me as a coach, but I'm really going in and helping their leadership develop. I'm helping them operationally, like really looking at their business from not just a legal standpoint, but from an operator and an executive standpoint, and spotting a lot of issues, problems, processes that need fixed, that need adjusted, right people, wrong seats type stuff. Like, hey, you got the right people, but they're doing the wrong job. Or your branding is a little bit off because you're saying you're one thing, but everything else is telling me something different. So I've had clients for the past year ask me to start doing that for them. And last year I wasn't ready. So this year it kind of morphed into, it's really strategic advising. It's not legal services. It's going with clients. And there's a couple models I've been working on. It's with very selective clients, right? I'm not going to just take anybody, because it's an investment in time. It's an investment in money, but it'll work. I know it. I've done it. So it's really going into a company, and we focus on a couple pillars, people, process, the purpose, and then their profits. So these 4 Ps, right? You got to make sure you have the right people, right seats. Are your SOPs in place? Do you have the right org chart? Your processes, is everything documented? Like truly, like from the point of, if someone gets hit by a bus, can someone come in and know exactly what to write in an email to a person to schedule a meeting? Like, what is the process? Is it written down? I started asking people questions. One question I would give a client, say, okay, if I say go into the kitchen and make me something to eat, what's the first thing you do? And everybody has a different answer, right? Is it go to the fridge, check what's in there? Is it ask you what you want? So it's like, and I said, think about that from a business perspective. If you tell someone to write an email to this person, everybody's going to do it differently. If you want it done a certain way, it has to be documented. So it's really going in and talking about that, and then figuring out, like, what is the purpose of their business? Like, what are they trying to do? Exit? Keep it forever, because that's going to change the way we operate. And then, is it profitable when we look at that? So it's the way I work. I'll go in either for a half day or a full day intensive. Like, hey, we break everything apart. It's going to get uncomfortable. It's going to be ugly for the most part, but we'll find all the issues. And then from there, it's either, hey, here's the plan going forward, or I'll advise with them monthly. So they could pay a flat fee retainer for me to advise them month by month. It could be, a couple meetings a month, whatever that works out for the client. Other clients they've brought me on as an advisor in an equity position. To me, I love it because I know how to fix companies. Like, I've sold 5 businesses myself. I've built a law firm from zero to multi-millions. I've worked with thousands of different businesses. I've seen everything. I have a law degree. I have an MBA. I've done this for 20 plus years. So, and I kept getting pulled to it. Like, people kept asking me, and I didn't want to take time away from the firm because I was growing the firm. But now I have such a good team in place, and like, I feel like things are finally at a place where I can pull back and move into this passion. Like, I'm always going to be the founder and managing partner of the firm, but the legal work will be less. This is more of my passion. It also allows me to go on a wider scale. I'm not subject to, the rules of I'm licensed in these states. I can work for any company anywhere, and it's just, I just started doing it. And the response I've got has been amazing.
I think what's cool to notice is the fact that you've practiced what you're preaching now.
Yeah.
Because again, you only have the ability to take a step back because your org chart is there. You have the right people in the right place.
That's exactly right.
You have the standard operating procedures. Yes. You know that your law firm is going to run as a well-oiled machine.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly right.
So again, I think that's a testament to
Thank you.
What you're doing next, right?
Yeah, and it's fun because if I could sit in a room with someone for 10 hours and solve all their business problems, I would do it for free. Like, I love it. And I in the way I'm operating with some people, because again, like, it's not, my hourly rate's my hourly rate, but this is a different model. So it's not, it's not as cheap as people may think it's going to be. But I've told people, here's how I operate. You pay half the fee up front. If you don't get value from the service, don't pay the other half. Like, I'm willing to bet on myself on that. Like I did with the firm, I was willing to take a jump. I said, okay, if I'm charging, $8,000 to $10,000 for a full day intensive, pay half up front. If you don't get value, if I will give you 10x value in that day, I can guarantee it, or don't pay me the fee. Don't pay me the remainder of the fee.
I mean, I don't know who'd say no to that. If you can get 80,000, right, 80,000 value for $8,000.
Right. And I've had no one not pay the fee.
Yeah.
Because again, like I think, and I hate to say, I don't like to talk about myself, but I think I've been given one gift in life, and that is the ability to see through the crap. Like, very clearly. I can usually go into a situation and spot exactly what's going on that people miss, the obvious. And I can articulate that to clients in a way that they understand, because it's really about understanding people. I have to understand how that person whom I'm speaking to perceives information. So if they have to hear it a certain way, because you may be able to tell somebody something, but if you're not telling them in the way they hear or understand information, it'll go over their head. So I have to understand that person and how they need to be told the information. That's just a skill I've always had. So it's helped me really push people in this direction to say, okay, here's the 6 problems. Here's exactly what you have to do to fix them. And then they're like, oh, and some of it's the simplest stuff. Like, another client of mine, they have a business and they were worried about everyone's always calling them. And they're like, I don't understand why they don't call anybody else that works for me that does the same thing. And I said, well, that's because if I look at your marketing, you're the only person that does it. No one else that you've on any of your websites, on your social media, in your marketing, I know they all work for you. I don't know what any of them do. I don't know what they sell, what product line they're in. I wouldn't know who to call. I know to call you because you own the place. So and this person was like, never thought about it.
You think about it, and once you've trained the dog, it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks. Right. So if people have been calling you all those years, what are they going to do? By default, they're going to call you.
Right. But if they don't know who else to call, and that's what I said, I know these people personally. If I didn't know them personally, I would just think they were administrative employees at your company, because I have no idea what they do. Looking at all of your social media, all of your marketing and branding, no clue what they do. I know they work there, don't know what they do. I know you're the person to call if I want to buy this thing. If you want me to call somebody else, you need to start telling me who it is to call and why I should call that person. Introduce these people as, this person is so-and-so. They do this. This is who you call when you need this. It was completely missing in their marketing. And to me, that was the obvious. But, this has been a struggle for this client for 3 years.
I think with the lane that you're doing now, the project, this passion, like I think about myself.
Mm-hmm.
So, being able to reach out, most people who are entrepreneurs,
Yeah.
they have that type D, that alpha personality,
right.
right?
Yep.
I think making the first step, reaching out and saying, you know what?
Yeah.
What's going to make me do that? Well, greed would. Okay, I'm going to increase my revenue.
Yeah.
But I think where magic would happen with the service that you're providing is the person that's coming in there that not only wants to optimize their business, but's willing to check their ego at the door.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's what it has to be.
If you can do that and get uncomfortable with you, then the sky to me would be the limit.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that, because that's one of the main reasons why I started falling into this, because my chief of staff, Jess, she's kind of been saying this for me for a while, and we were talking, and it's funny like how over the past year, people would just tell me things like their life, their problems, like they get really comfortable speaking to me. And I mean, I'm not a therapist. Like I have a psychology degree from college, but so I realized that, okay, then people feel comfortable talking to me about these intimate details of their life. They're clients of mine that just tell me these things. I'm like, okay, if I can get them to open up that way, I can get them to check their ego at the door and help them really fix their business. And that's really what started calling me towards this new lane. And I'm excited for it. Like, I think it's something that I can grow exponentially. I think I can help a lot of businesses and make a huge impact, which is what I'm really trying to do.
Like you said, that you can go national, you can go international, you can do this
exactly
anywhere. It's just finding the right people to be able to work with.
Yeah, and it's exciting. I'm looking forward to it. It's gave me like this new vigor to what I'm doing, which I can't complain.
Well, I'm definitely excited for you and happy. I want to see how that works out. And
appreciate that.
Like I said, hopefully in the near future, I'm going to be one of those clients that we can take the Succession Wealth and Insurance Network to new levels.
You tell me when you're ready. I'm happy to.
I love it. But no, I appreciate everybody, tuning in today. I know we talked about, families, we talked about business owners, we talked about Rocco's passion. And if you can take away one thing today, it's that it's never too early to start the estate planning process, but it definitely can be too late.
Exactly right. Yes.
So, I wanted to thank Rocco for being here.
I appreciate you having me.
And, tune in next time, next month. But, this is Scott from the Succession Wealth and Insurance Network, and I hope you found value in what we did today.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
All right. Good stuff.